All right, guys. Thank you for joining me. Let me know if you hear me. Sorry for being late. Of course, me and my stupidity and with my time, I try to do everything at the last possible second. And it never works out. But anyway. Doesn't make videos. Very good. All right, Dobie, Joe, Mighty Llama, Maria, thank you for the 5x5. Grit and Grace, Big John, Flown Grown, Cat Girl, thank you for the 5x5. Jammin, Rated Forever, Drone, thank you for the 5x5. Adriana, Crow, Sojourner, another friend, Lisa, Carrie, Elaine, thank you for the 5x5. Hudson Valley, Old Life Off Grid. Angelwood, Ron, Max, Coffee First, Shannon, Marion, Dwayne, Drone Professional again, thank you for the 5x5. Liz, Bad Bobber, and Loretta, Nancy, thank you for the 5x5. All right, guys, so I did buy a backdrop, but I wasn't able to hang it up in time. So by the next live stream, I'll have something hung up. I think now, guys, that it's a little warmer, I'm going to be doing some live streams outdoors. So that'll be on my phone. It won't look as clean as this, but whatever, it is what it is. So hopefully, and I'm going to try to pick different spots downtown. So I'm looking, obviously, at 42nd Street, if I can pull that off. And then 14th Street and a couple other areas we'll be doing around the town. I'm still going to do the walk to work. I'm going to do a live stream walk to work so you guys can see the bullshit we deal with here in New York City on a daily basis. I'm still debating whether or not I should do a walk around this neighborhood during the day so you guys can see all the crackheads and the bullshit that goes on here too. So I have to talk my first gripe, which is not prepper related. New York State is cracking down on fake license plates. So I find it, and I'm annoyed about this because they are going after license plates as if you, I don't know, were trafficking kids. So the MTA, the NYPD, the state troopers, and I think 3 other organizations came together to start handing out more tickets on these fake license plates. Now, at first I had an issue with the fake license plate, but after the congestion pricing, I agree with it. They also want people to get rid of those tints over the license plates, and I'm taking issue with all of it. I couldn't understand. The MTA has power over the city. We have crime skyrocketing. We had another lady punched in the two ladies this past week. 2 ladies punched in the face out of the blue. You have shootings left and right. I told you guys about the one that we saw pretty much right in front of the fire truck the other night. And they're worried about people driving around with fake license plates and tints on their license plate covers. Now, yes, Stephen, they have to collect the revenue for the migrants. This is all about money. But when you bring up the crime aspect of it, their rebuttal is, well, we're handling it. So they're going after everybody hard. Everybody that the MTA could possibly tax, as far as vehicle-wise, they want that hammered out. So I suspect that this is going to last about a couple months. I refuse to drive my truck downtown anyway. But if I do, I would purposely cover my tags so that they cannot see it. Because fuck the MTA and their bullshit. Again, with them, it's all about money and it's greed. We got crime out of the ass, and they're worried about how much money they can make with the congestion pricing. And then the fare beating thing, they're hammering people now. Before, they were letting people go, jump on the trains or whatever. Now they're actually giving out tickets. Now the cops want to do their job. Right? Now the city is letting the cops do their job. Sorry. But anything else? No. We can't tackle suspects. We got to gingerly put them on the ground with a pillow behind their head. We can't punch them in the face anymore because then we'll be investigated. This is the cops. But, geez, if you have your plates covered, we're going to come after you with with the full force of the NYPD. I mean, it's insanity, man. Insanity. But anyway, enough of that gripe. Yeah, New York City's out of control. I mean, and people don't see it for what it is. I think everyone should cover their tags who drive. Everybody. If you live in Massachusetts, Connecticut, Jersey, cover your tags when you come into the city. Just to teach the city a lesson. Because they can't get all of us. But people are not going to do that. People are going to sit there, complain about the congestion pricing, and do nothing about it. The one thing we could do about congestion pricing is covering our tags, and then no one gets charged, and the MTA doesn't get paid. Keep in mind, guys, the MTA, this was 6 months ago, made a deal with some organization to allow migrants who are going to work in a vehicle to get a discount when going below 60th Street. They are getting a discount for migrants who are going to work in a vehicle. Meanwhile, every other politician gets down there free. Firefighter, cops, correction officers, teachers, fucking the brownies that everybody hates. Everybody else gets full price, charged full price. But the migrants get a free-o. And that was in an article a few months ago. I don't know if it still stands. But whatever. And Alex, that's exactly my point. My point is, cover your tags. Then they can't charge anybody anything. And listen, I'm pretty sure at some point the higher ups are going to be like, you can't say that. I'm absolutely going to say it. I'm going to say it until I'm blue in my face, until I'm blue in the face. Because fuck the MTA. The MTA has a shitty system set up as it is. Trains are horrible. It's dirty as hell down there. And yet somehow they keep charging the people more money. They keep upping the fares. Now they got congestion pricing, which, guys, congestion pricing is going to make them a few, I would venture to say a few $100 million a year on that alone. Anyway, enough of that bullshit. You need to go use their tag. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I should put all kinds of shit on it, like, you know, fuck Adams, eat my ass MTA, and then every time I pass through and the camera catches it, it's a new fucking, signal for the day. But also, the reason why I don't use my vehicle downtown anyway is because there's too much traffic and no parking. So, there's also that. But anyway, let's get on with the show. Today, guys, we're talking about how it's airborne. Now, stick with me on this because there is a lot to cover. Just know, guys, that it wasn't, well, it had to be airborne at some point because it's seemingly floating all over the place and ending up all over the world, and it ended up in Antarctica, out of all places. And they're like, scientists are now worried. Again, these worrying ass scientists. These scientists are like scared of their own shadows. They're like, scientists are worried now that it appeared in Antarctica. Really? No shit. Right? What else? They worry about everything. You know, in one article, it states it keeps them up at night. It keeps CDC officials up at night. The bird flu. I'm like, are you out of your... What is wrong with you guys? Like, how... They're scared of everything. Anyway. Australia's first human case of bird flu detected in child traveling back from India. I'm not sure if they're blaming India for this or the kid. Either way, the bird flu or avian influenza has been detected in a Victorian child after they returned from overseas. There is a current global outbreak of the infectious viral disease in birds and animals, and now you're seeing more cases. In fact, there's a second case, I think, in Michigan. We're going to talk about that a little later tonight. Again, guys, they were building up the storyline. They were, you saw back in 2013 or 2014 that scientists were tinkering with the H5N1. They wanted to make it more contagious. back then. Now we're seeing it. It is more contagious, and somehow it's jumping across species. It was supposed to stay in the avian family, and now it's in everything else. I even read somewhere that it's in bears, or they had a bear documented with bird flu. Something's not making sense. Now, I am not a smart man, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that something isn't right with this one. But we also all known that they were going to be tinkering with something. Anyway, Australia has recorded its first ever human case of bird flu after the H5N1 avian influenza was detected in a child traveling home to Victoria. Victoria Department of Health confirmed the child returning from the country became unwell in March and subsequently tested positive for the avian influenza. The child experiencing a severe infection but is no longer unwell. I don't know, just say he's better and has made a full recovery. These people in their writing, he's no longer unwell. Just say he feels better. Contact trace has not identified any further cases of the avian influenza connected in this case. Keep in mind, he was on a plane, and everybody on the plane was probably notified of this, and maybe some people sitting around him were tested. But they don't say that, but I'm assuming that's what they did, because they convinced everybody to, listen, if this winds up being something, and you get sick, and we start noticing that it's just like the flu, don't run to the hospital unless you're severely ill. When I mean severely ill, we're talking about respiratory complications and things like that. You start suffering respiratory complications of anything, obviously go to the hospital. But if you're just not feeling well, don't go to the doctor, because they'll get you tested, you'll be a statistic, and then you'll be on CNN's fucking final count number by the end of the day. So yeah, don't do that. Stay away from that if you can. Sorry. So I'm not going to go through all of the article, I guess. I mean, maybe I will. But we'll definitely talk about it making its way to Antarctica, because that's just fucking strange if you ask me. And somehow people like, oh, it's a matter of time. It really isn't. It just doesn't make sense. Anyway. The case is not linked to eggs farm outbreak. Avian influenza is an infectious viral disease of birds that is not commonly detected in humans. There are many strains of avian influenza. The Department of Health said most of them don't infect humans. Some subtypes, including the H5N1, are more likely to cause a disease and death in poultry. There is a current outbreak of the strain in other parts of the world, including dairy cows in the United States of America. One dairy worker in America recently tested positive for the virus. Now, this article is about 2 weeks old. There is a new guy running around sneezing and coughing and people and shit, but we'll get to that in a minute. It comes as hundreds of thousands of chicken at an egg farm in Victoria were being euthanized after the disease was detected there. The property near Meredith in the state's west is in quarantine. The whole fucking property. Anyway. The Department of Health said the Victorian child has no link to the egg farm, and bird flu poultry was last detected in Australia in 2020. So, the deadly H5N1 strain detected in mainland Antarctica for the first time. This is another article, sorry. The H5N1 strain of avian flu was detected in 2 brown suka at the western side of Antarctica. Not for nothing, guys. But who the fuck's going to Antarctica and testing these animals? Now, granted, if you see some dead sukas or pigeons, or not pigeons, penguins laying around, all right, fine. Have at it. But if you're going down there with the suspicions that it ended up there, that don't make any sense. I mean, then again, there's a lot of research being done in Antarctica. I mean, a lot. So they could have came across it by accident. I don't know. The arrival of the devastating strain of avian influenza, which has killed millions of animals globally, to the Antarctic mainland makes Australia the last continent free of the virus. or rather it was. This article came out a few months ago. Maybe it was a few years ago. Not sure. Anyway, I'll look for it later. The highly contagious strain of bird flu, known as the H5N1, was confirmed over the weekend in 2 brown sucas, which are large seabirds that prey on fish, small mammals, and other birds like penguin chicks. All right. Scientists from Spanish National Research Council tested 2 dead birds, which were collected by Argentinian researchers early February. All right, so it was early this year. The birds were found near Argentina's Primavera base, which is the western side of Antarctica, close to South America. While the avian flu had previously been detected on islands between South America and Antarctica, this is the first confirmed detection on the mainland. And then it goes, here are 5. Nope, not going to go down that road. Anyway, what is H5N1? It's different types of bird flu have been around as long as birds have. But this H5N1 has been around since 1959, or rather was detected in 1959. Could have been around longer than that. In 1996, a strain of bird flu known as H5N1 was the first detected in a goose in somebody's asshole in China. I'm not going to try to pronounce it. The virus was able to kill domestic chicken flocks within a matter of days. The strain was a precursor to the current outbreak known as H5N1 clade 2.3.4.4b, which started in Europe in 2020 when the gene swap of the virus between wild and domestic birds created an even deadlier version. Just how deadly is it, you ask? Everyone's going to die. That's pretty much what it's saying in a nutshell. Now, no, they didn't say that. But this next article is talking about birds. How deadly is this to birds? Since the same 81 million domestic birds, since then, some 81 million domestic birds have been killed and or euthanized because of the virus. The number of wild birds around the world have succumbed to the disease is unknown because they can land anywhere and then you can't find them. This is believed to be in the millions. The H5N1 spreads quickly around the rest of the world and rapidly made its way down the South America coastline and the sub-Antarctic region, which are the islands that we're talking about, at South Georgia and the Falkland Islands. The fucking islands. Nice. So far, Oceanica, including Australia and New Zealand, have remained free of the virus. That, again, the first article disputes that because it showed up just recently. New Zealand is still in the clear, if I'm not mistaken. About 600,000 wild birds in South America between October of 2022 and earlier this year, when the virus was first detected in the continent, up to last year November. South American species impacted by birds. A lot of birds are dying in South America. We already went over that. Also, 50,000 mammals have died. Most were sea lions. How are sea lions getting the avian flu? I didn't even see that one coming. Sea lions. They did say seals in Antarctica were dying as well, but now that it's dawning on me, like, these things, not that they're always underwater and they are around birds, but I don't know, man. I think they're building up a storyline. They're building up the story, so whatever. How could Australia get it? No one gives a fuck. It's Australia. How should Australia, again, no one gives a fuck. It's Australia. A Michigan farm worker is diagnosed with bird flu in the second U.S. case tied to dairy cows. Now, I thought this guy was on an egg farm or a chicken farm, but whatever. A Michigan dairy worker has been diagnosed with bird flu, the second human case associated with the outbreak in the U.S. dairy cows. The worker has been in contact with cows presumed to be infected, experienced mild eye symptoms, has recovered. U.S. and Michigan health officials said in an announcement on Wednesday a nasal swab from the person tested negative on the virus, but the eye swab tested positive. You're not swabbing my fucking eyes. I'm sorry. We are getting into one hell of a fist fight if you try to swab my eyes. First of all, you're not swabbing anything. But if you swab my eyes, there's going to be an all-out fist fight. Everybody in the room is going to get hurt. If there's a baby in the room, the baby's getting hurt. Everybody's getting beat up. The baby, the mother, the doctor, the nurse, the janitor who just so happened to be going by. Everyone's getting beat up. You're not touching my eyes. I went to an eye doctor once for a full eye test. I was the worst patient the guy's ever had. And that was him telling me, and not in those exact words, you're not swabbing my eyes. It's going to be the Royal Rumble in that fucking hospital. Anyway, the risk to the public remains low, but farm workers exposed to infected animals are at a higher risk. Health officials said. They said those workers should be offered protective equipment, especially for their eyes. I guess, right? They touch the cows, fucking titty things, and then they rub their eyes, and then they got fucking bird flu in the eyes. Maybe, I don't know. I guess that's how it works. So, yo, I can't imagine that's going to be the new way to swab people. The eyes. Holy shit. You know how many people are not going to let that happen? You have to be knocked unconscious. I have to be knocked unconscious for you to do that. To touch my eyes. Imagine? And then how hard? You saw how, I was swabbed once in the nose, and that asshole jammed the stick up there, and I was like, yo, you kidding me? Were you trying to touch my brain? So, in the eyes is really delicate. You can't just yo, you're not swabbing eyes. I'm going to tell you right now. I could speak for most people. You're not swabbing their eyeballs. Swab a person's eyeballs and poke him. Yo, it's all fucking what? Yo, it's on. Poke the wrong person in the eye, it's going to turn into a fist fight. Anyway. Let's go. The first case happened late in March when a farm worker tested in Texas diagnosed in what officials called the first known instance globally of a person catching this version of the bird flu from a mammal. That patient was also reported only eye inflammation and recovered. Eye inflammation, the guy was bleeding out of his eyes whenever he cried. He saw a sad movie, he was bleeding out his ass. By the way, speaking of movies, The Fall Guy with Ryan Gosling. Very good movie, but that movie, guys, is, if you pay attention to it, that movie was the first movie to acknowledge deep fake and how people can be deep fake and get into trouble. Very good storyline. They focused on the plot, not heavily, not the deep fake part, but they mentioned it and then they did something with the deep fake and you're like, holy shit, people could be getting in trouble left and right with this. And forget about the AI deep fake. That's an entirely different ballgame. But anyway, that movie's worth the watch. It was a fun movie to watch anyway. Since 2020, a bird flu virus has been spreading among more animal species, including dogs, cats, skunks, bears, even seals, and porpoises. Porpoises? Would it? Anyway, in scores of countries. The detection in the United States livestock early this year was an unexpected twist that sparked questions about food safety and whether it would start spreading among humans. Now, I find it interesting, guys, that they're allowing the milk to keep flowing. They're allowing beef to still be, well, I don't know if any of the actual cattle for beef was tested positive, but they allowed the milk to go. I had a sense that when the milk tested positive and cottage cheese and other milk products tested positive for H5N1, I'm like, wait a second. They said pasteurization, and I quote this, pasteurization might stop the H5N1. Might. And I'm like, so they're legitimately, guys, trying to push this. Because if there's even a doubt, a 0.5% doubt, you turn around and you go, you know what? Dump all the milk, throw the cheese away, throw the cottage cheese away, let's do a recall. But they're not, because the recall is going to cost them more money than anything else. That's the only reason why they didn't do it. The recall would be insane. Recalling milk and cheese, they would lose their shit. So anyway, I find it very, very interesting, guys, that even with doubt, they're still serving people. Now, they could be worried about the recall, or they could be worried about the recall and the money that's going to be spent from the recall, or they're absolutely trying to push this and hope someone gets it, and then it could jump human to human. So far, the 2 guys here that were sick have not spread it to anyone else. So let's get on with this. That hasn't okay, so they talked about the spreading amongst humans. That hasn't happened, although there's been steady increase in reported infection in cows. As of Wednesday, the virus has been confirmed in 51 dairy herds in 9 states. It was 43 or 42 last week. According to the U.S. Agricultural Department, 15 of the herds were in Michigan. Health officials in Michigan have declined to say how many people exposed to the infected cattle have been tested or monitored. U.S. officials said they have tested 40 people since the first cow case were discovered late March in Texas. Another CDC nerd, some fucking Indian dude named Narji Shah, praised Michigan officials for actively monitoring farm workers. Why would you praise them? That's their job. These nerds have one job: to sit there and nerd out and test people for shit. That's the only thing they do. I don't understand this shit. But anyway. Alright, guys, for those of you that are leaving, thank you. Have a good night. Give a thumbs up on the way out. So, let's go. Let's move a little further along. The USDA is expanding financial incentives to dairy farmers whose herd have not yet been infected with the virus. The virus has been found in high levels of raw milk of infected cows, but government officials say pasteurization products sold in grocery stores are safe because heat treatment has been confirmed. Okay, now they confirmed it to have killed the virus. The article I read about 3 weeks ago, they said it might. Well, it might kill it, but we're not sure. But now they said it has confirmed it. They confirmed it after the fact. It's fucking crazy. New case marks the 3rd time a person in the United States has been diagnosed with what's known as the Type A H5N1 virus. In 2022, a prison inmate in a work program picked up while killing infected birds at a poultry farm in Montrose County, Colorado. His only symptom was fatigue, and he recovered. That predated the virus appearance in cows. All right. Pandemic potential. New article. New research shows the H5N1 bird flu can transmit through the air. New findings show that the strain of the H5N1 influenza virus has developed only a minimal capacity for airborne transmission. I don't even know what the fuck that means. How does something develop a minimal capacity for airborne transmission? You see how they like to split hairs? With Mr. 19 in the beginning, they were like, it's not airborne. It's not. I'm like, but if you sneeze, it's in the air and someone catches it. They were changing definitions of shit during the 19 event. I've never seen them do anything like that. I've never seen them on the fly start changing definitions. And they're doing it again. Minimal capacity for airborne transmission. It can be fucking transmitted airborne. That's it. Stop trying to minimize it. Oh, well, because after 5 feet it drops down. Like, who the fuck and why? In March, the United States reported its first detection of the highly pathogenic H5N1 avian flu in a dairy cattle, with outbreaks spreading in 9 states by May. Transmission methods among cattle remain unclear. However, a study published in the journal Nature Communications revealed that a similar H5N1 strain, subtype clade 2.3.4.4b, which previously caused outbreaks in farm minks, has the capability of airborne transmission in a small group of ferrets. I think I read this last week. I did read this last week, actually. I read the first part. Methodology of virus assessment. According to researchers, assessing a virus potential for airborne transmission in mammals could inform the understanding of a potential risk to humans. Since virus samples could not be readily obtained after the outbreak in minks had been controlled, the team constructed the virus using publicly available genetic sequence. That doesn't sound good. Next, the researchers evaluate the ability of the virus to transmit in ferrets, which have respiratory tracts that are more similar to humans in their susceptibility to virus infection and transmission than other model organisms such as mice. The team measured both direct transmission of the virus by placing infected ferrets in cages with uninfected ferrets, and indirect airborne transmission by placing infected and uninfected ferrets in a cage that enabled shared airspace but prevented physical contact. Interesting. The assessed disease severity. The team examined ferrets' weight loss and signs of clinical illness. Basically, they caught it through the air, and it was a 75% exposure. Scientists found that the virus was transmitted by direct contact to 75% of exposed ferrets, and respiratory droplets 37.5% of exposed ferrets after about 9 days of exposure. So you got to hang around somebody for 9 days. I don't like hanging around anybody for fucking 9 days, let alone fucking ferrets. So all right, now here's the kicker, guys. Back in 2013 or 14, they were looking to tinker with the H5N1. And in doing so, they came out with a model that discusses how it can be made to be more contagious. I find it interesting, guys, that they wanted to make it more contagious. Then they test these ferrets a few years later, I might add. They test these ferrets a few years later. The cows, they say they're not sure how they're getting it, but obviously it's because, first of all, cattle are in close quarters with one another. How do you think they're going to fucking contract it, right? So it being airborne obviously is a big to-do. Now, I can see them tinkering with it again to make it more contagious to humans. Now, when they were trying to make it more contagious, it was unclear if they were making it more contagious to humans or they were just making it more contagious to other animals. That's unclear. People are getting it, but again, they are working directly in contact. Good night, Hudson Valley. They're working directly in contact with cattle. So there is that. So bird flu undergoing changes that could increase the risk of widespread human transmission. The source of this study is the University of Nottingham. The summary of it is a new study has shown that a subtype of the avian flu endemic in poultry farms in China is undergoing mutational change, which could increase the risk of disease being passed on to humans. Now, again, the origin of this avian flu spreading to people that they're worried about is again in China. It's as if this is a sequel to Mr. 19. Anyway, a new study of researchers in China and Nottingham have discovered a subtype of avian flu virus endemic in a poultry farm in China is undergoing mutational change, which could increase the risk of the disease being passed on to humans. Researchers also say that the finding raises concern of a potential endemic and or pandemic in the making, and that concerted research is necessary to closely monitor such viruses in poultry and humans. Again, in China. Here we go. They're going to somehow blame it on, yes, username, a wet market. Oh, well, we have a wet market 20 miles down the road from us. Could have came from there. 2 point. All right. Let's see. Where the hell did I leave it? Because this is just a bunch of bullshit at this point. That's all it is. Let's carry on. A couple more articles. Actually, yes, a couple more paragraphs, if you will. The results, which have been published in Cell, report on characterization of a human isolated from a human patient of the H3N8 avian flu virus. Using laboratory mice and ferrets as a model for human infection, the study found that the virus has undergone several adaptive changes to cause severe animal infection and making it transmittable by the airborne route between animals. Again, this virus has been around, or was first detected back in 1959. Now, that's not to say that it hasn't been in birds, but prior to that, but prior to it being under a microscope and discovered, it was 1959. Now, for the most part, the avian flu was a quiet pandemic amongst birds. People heard about it, some people didn't. Now, all of a sudden, 2024, as we are entering the third or second stage of the WEF's plan, now this thing is mutating at an alarming rate. It's mutating very fast, guys, in the last, 2 to 3 years. In the last 6 months, we're going to see some crazy jumps. Nonetheless, guys, here we go with the storyline of bullshit. I've never seen such nonsense, and then, of course, people buy into it. Now, what they're doing here is, I think, is that they're building a more sustainable story and a more substantial story, so that they can go back and point at these articles in another year or two and go, no, we tested it back in 2012, 2013, 2014. Oh, we did tinker with it a little bit to see whether or not we can make it more contagious back in 2014. Then 2020, they started seeing a rise in it. Now it's 2024, and cattle are catching it. Sea lions, porpoise, which are water animals, and bears and other things. Soon we're going to see it in lions and minks, wolves. It's going to, boy, it's just as frustrating because we see what they're doing and there's no real way to stop it. That's what's frustrating about it. So, in humans, the avian H3N8 virus infection has been found to cause acute respiratory distress syndrome and can even be fatal. Keep in mind, guys, this is the H3N8, not the H5N1. The H5N1, as of right now, is just causing eye irritation and or conjunctivitis. The H3N8 sounds like they tinkered with it, or rather they created that one, and this is the one that we're probably going to see get released. As they said, it has an acute respiratory distress and can be fatal. The virus is widespread in chicken flocks. However, previously, the feature of it might be transmitted from animal to human is poorly understood. We demonstrated an avian H3N8 virus isolated from a patient with severe pneumonia replicated efficiently in human bronchial and lung, cells, was extremely harmful in the effects in a laboratory mammalian host, and could be passed on through respiratory droplets. Again, this is a lab in Nottingham, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, Nottingham's in the UK. But of course, the professor is Kin Chao Chang. The Chinese. The fucking Chinese, man. They just don't quit. And whatever. Importantly, we discovered the virus had acquired human receptor binding preferences, an amino acid substitute, PB2E627K, which are necessary for airborne transmission. Human population, even when vaccinated against human H3N2 virus, appeared immunologically naive to emerging mammalians adopted H3N8 AIV and could be vulnerable to infect an epidemic or pandemic proportion. What the fuck did I just read? So again, guys, everything I'm reading here, I'm going to put the link, I'm going to look for the links in a couple minutes. But everything that I'm reading here, guys, is just a telltale sign of what is to come. They are undoubtedly messing around with this. And they're pretty much telling us they are. And then we're seeing these jumps. And one of the articles I've read, they can't really explain why it's jumping to so many different animals. Most things don't do that. Most viruses don't do that. And if they do, it takes a while to do it. When I mean a while, we're talking about a couple decades, in some cases a century or two. This thing is making leaps and bounds into the into other animals that is undoubtedly going to end up in humans. Now, when household dogs start coming down with it, when cats start coming down with it, that's where you're going to start seeing more people infected with the H5N1, or in this case, maybe the H3N8. There is also an H3N2, but according to them, humans are vaccinated against that one, which I don't know how. The H3N8 is the one that we need to keep our ears open for, because they are undoubtedly going to try to surprise us with that one. The H5N1 is not doing what they thought it was going to do, so they're going to release the Kraken, the H3N8. They said that one is way more dangerous than the other two. Now, guys, should we see another problem, another event, we are just going to act accordingly. We're not going to flip out. We're not going to act like a bunch of baby back bitches. We're just going to do what needs to be done to protect ourselves and to protect others, if this winds up being a real to-do. This is definitely engineered by the Chinese, without a doubt. Because, again, the Chinese are involved. They were involved in this a few years back. They're involved in this now. And then we have the truth about where the Mr. 19 came from. So, guys, the plan is all coming together. And, of course, a lot of us are going to wind up getting sick over this one, I think. I don't think it's going to be as contagious as they would like it to be, but I still think people are going to absolutely get sick behind this one. And whether, guys, you think it's fake or not, that's entirely up to you. When I start seeing people drop like flies, then maybe I'll take it more serious. Right now, I think it's just something that they have in their back pocket. I don't think this is a major concern just yet. Sorry. So, of course, guys, we are all noticing, guys, that this is most likely planned, right? This is definitely a planned event, because, like I said, they are starting the storyline. It's not starting the storyline, they are building the storyline to become stronger. They're building the storyline so that, at the very least, people run and get the arm ticket. I think that's the direction they want to go in. Of course, you're going to have companies that are invested in this. So we have to wait and see how bad this is going to get and how much money is in it for them. Now, a lot of people seem to think that Bill and Melinda Gates might be behind this one. Yes, Cam, H3N8 seems to be the one that they're more concerned about, because that one has an acute respiratory condition, meaning it brings on a respiratory issue quickly, and is probably way more fatal than Kevin Little. Yeah, I know the audio's not matching because my internet might be all jacked up with all of the shit I have on it. So maybe I can stop that problem by hardwiring in now, because I'm noticing a delay on my end, like a super delay on my end. Jesus, that's pretty bad. So if it's bad on my end, it's definitely that maybe I have too much open on the. Yeah, so articles, guys, going back as far as 2013, scientists plan controversial lab-made bird flu. This is scientists who sparked an outcry of creating an easier to spread version of the H5N1 for research purposes wanted to try such an experiment again using worrisome new strain. The new strain that they're working on, since it broke out in China in March, the H7N9 bird flu has infected more than 130 people, killed 43. Again, that was back in 2013. They created an easier to spread strain of another deadly kind of bird flu, better known as H5N1. Except for the H5N1 is not taking off the way they want. There goes your H3N8. I wish I understand what these numbers meant. Researchers were supposed to create an easier to spread strain of the new H7N9. My God, what is it with these people? They have, so the H5N1 was the deadlier version and an easier to spread one, easier to spread strain, if you will, variant. Then they have even more easier spread strain. It's called easier to spread strain, the H7N9. Will pass a special review. So they created the strain, and it has to go through special review of panel of experts who will be willing to risk, who will weigh the risk and potential benefits of the work. So what they're doing, guys, is they're creating these strains to see whether or not they can work on them. So instead of getting the all clear from the gates and being like, hey, guys, you guys can work on what you want, they're creating them first and then turning back to a panel and going, can we? Can we use this one? Fucking guys, man. The findings of an earlier man-made H5N1 strain haven't changed how health authorities are monitoring the virus in the wild, said University of Minnesota professor Michael Osterholm, who was on the federal advisory board that sounded the alarm over the issue. Nor is there a scientific evidence that the mutation that seems most dangerous in the lab really could predict a impending pandemic. So the H5N1 is man-made, according to this article. Because in the bottom part of the article, I'm going to put the article in the link. Because they made it an easier to spread H5N1. Now, birds are being tested with the H5N1. Very, very interesting. Let me put this in the chat so you guys don't think I'm full of shit. All right, it's in the chat, guys. Have at it. Read to your heart's content. But anyway, they have a few of them out there, right? So it's the H3. It's the H3. What is it? The H3N8. And then you have the H5N1, both man-made. And then you have the H7N9. I can't keep up with these codes. I really can't. And Fauci seems to be in hiding. He seems to be very, very quiet because a new czar is going to pop up in his place. I can guarantee it, man. You're going to have some new asshole telling us about this bullshit. And then this new asshole is going to like, but hold on. We have the arm ticket for you guys. Now, the H5N1, the H7 and the H7N9 and the H3N8 are all man-made. That means, guys, that they have the 2 arm tickets that are ready to rock and roll for the potential outbreak of this. The reason why because I was trying to figure out why do they have 2 arm tickets for this, 2 different arm tickets. Makes sense now. If you have 2 different strains, you can treat it quickly. Maybe one's for the H5N1 and the other one's for the H3N8. Maybe that's why there's 2. Or maybe both of them for H5N1. But I think there are 2 for 2 different pandemics, and then they can get another one spun up for the H7N9. I don't know. I'm spitballing here. Because it sounds too much. It's just too much man-made shit going on. They're actually telling us in the articles, guys. And if you dive deep enough, you'll find these articles. You'll find these articles in there if you dive deep enough. But if you don't, you won't know anything about it, as most of the public doesn't. In fact, if you look back on the Mr. 19 event, you still can find articles of the outbreak of this shit back in November of 2019. So, but if you look on the first 3 or 4 pages, you won't see shit. It's buried in the back. And then, even worse, when you try to type in the origin of Mr. 19, nothing comes up about China. I mean, new articles are coming up in China, but before, let's say a month ago, you couldn't find an article anymore. It was buried really deep. Even on DuckDuckGo, these articles were buried pretty deep in the back. Johnny, thank you for the heads up. 5 minutes. Roger that. So still, guys, clearly this is planned. Clearly they're going to pick one. They probably have a dartboard, and they're going to throw it at the dartboard, and they're going to be like, oh, the H3N8, let's release that one. Right? And then people are not going to get too sick from that one. Fuck it, man. Just release the other 2, and we'll have at it. I think these 2 guys, I think most ailments you can definitely protect yourself from, but you will not be able to use a stupid blue face covering. You're going to need the N95. If this is real and this becomes a situation, you're undoubtedly going to need an N95. That's the only way you're going to get through this one. Putting a bandana over your face or a blue diaper over your face is not going to work. It just isn't. So, yeah, well, Amy, as far as the juices go, people are going to take them. People are undoubtedly going to take the new arm tickets. They're going to line up. They're going to tap their arm. Give it to me, man. I want to be a hero. Because remember that shit they were pushing, right? Take the arm ticket because you too can be a hero. They were trying to make heroes out of fucking pussies. You fucking kidding me? You got these nerds. They go up in there. They got the arm ticket. They're like, oh shit, I'm saving the world. I'm a fucking hero. There's a cape on my back. No, you're not. You're still a fucking nerd. You're still a pussy and you still live with your mother. Fuck you. Because the fact that they were trying to pull that bullshit off, save a life. Get the arm ticket. And after you get the arm ticket, you can have a free burger and fucking french fries. Motherfuckers. I mean, like, seriously, man. Right? They were pushing the bullshit. And they're going to do it again. You want to save lives? You better make sure you do. You better take this next arm ticket. Yes, Holy Ivans? Sorry. Yeah, sheeples. That's exactly what these people are. And listen, guys, there's nothing we can do about them. There's no convincing these people of anything good. You can't, like, I mean, right now, I have a few people's ears in the firehouse, and guys are like, they're not taking whatever comes next. But there are other guys that are like, but what if it's really bad? I'm like, but then what if you take the next one and you die? What was the point? Right? So a lot of people, guys, we know, took the arm ticket. They died. Boom, dead. They took it so that they could work and continue to make money for their family. But now they're dead. They can't make no more money for their family. Talk about the irony in taking something to keep your job, to make sure you're still making money, but then you die and there's no more job, no more money. We shall see, man. We shall see where this one goes. Listen, I hate to say it, and it might sound morbid, but I'm a little excited about this one because I want to see where this goes. I'm all ready, guys, to resign again. I'm like, yo, they fucking pulled this bullshit, I'm out. I'm all ready to resign. And I'm even ready for the ultimate, where they're like, if you don't get your arm ticket for the avian flu, if you don't get your arm ticket for that, we won't give you a pension. Adios, fucko. I'll go outside with Mr. Burroughs and we'll panhandle together. I don't know, right? I'll start doing more YouTube videos. I'll figure it out. But I am expecting the worst out of this one, and I'm a little excited about this shit though. That's the weird shit. Like I'm like, yo, where's this gonna go? How much worse can this get? Yo, it's gonna get bad. If this turns into a thing, this is gonna get bad. And if it does, oh man, I can't wait. I really can't wait. It brings joy to my heart because I'm going to be looking for everything. I'm going to be looking for how many people are going to stand their ground. I'm going to be looking to see how many people take this shit and what happens next. I'm going to be standing outside of the arm ticket centers and watching people come out and waiting for them to collapse. I'm going to be all about the popcorn and watching what happens next. I'm going to be watching people push back and seeing what that's going to look like. I'm just a little fucking on edge about this. I'm just like, yo, this is going to get bad. And people are going to, heads are going to swing. My way. There's a lot of things happening. So many things. I mean, listen, the Trump rally last night, I'm going to talk about that on the Angry Truth. But, there was some good shit there. And they caught a lot of people off guard. But we're going to talk about that more on the Angry Truth. Other than that, I'm going to make this an even hour, and then we're going to go off the air. But yeah, man, there's a lot of lunacy and insanity going on around the world. The political play right now, I don't know if they're trying to step it up a little bit so that there's more of a theater feel to the possibility of a nuclear attack. But a lot of that talk is dying. Again, with the YouTubers that said we were going to see some kind of nuclear event this year, I don't think so. But somebody stated that we were going to see something in the first part of the year. We're already in May. June officially makes it, or June 30th actually makes it the second part of the year. So we still got a couple days left. We shall see. We got a whole month left. But I don't think shit's going to go the way a lot of people think. I think something else is going to happen. It's going to catch us off guard. And we're going to be like, holy shit. I don't think it's all of this threat and the talk of threats and all. I don't think it's any of that shit. I think it's something that's going to catch us with our pants down. Johnny 308. Yo, listen, I can't wait for the elections. I really cannot wait. I am excited. I'm like, yo, how bad is this going to get? Are we going to see some shit? We're going to see some fist fighting? Because I want to get into a fist fight. I'm like, I want to start punching liberals in the head. Boom. Throwing cans of Spam at them like fucking, but spoiled cans of Spam at liberals, pulling the fucking cover off and throwing it at them. I want to get into some shit. This is going to be a fun year. I am no longer, guys, making this a year of, oh my God, how bad it's going to get. I can't wait for this to get bad because I'm ready for something to happen. Now, outside of civil war, which I don't want to happen because that's legitimate, that's problems. On every level, that's problems. But little scuffles here and there, I'm all for that, man. I'm all for all of it, the Trump 2024 hat, all of that. I'm doing all of that shit. Those shirts I saw at the Trump rally, whatever I can get my hands on, I'm wearing it. We're gonna create some fucking problems. But yeah, we can't live in fear, guys. We might as well have fun with these people while we still have our chance to have fun with them. because if things do go sideways, then we're going to have to be focused on survival. But while we don't have to focus on survival too much, other than getting our ship prepared and keep putting shit away, we can have fun with some of these idiots. Because I'm going to have fun with them. That's for fucking sure. Anyway, guys, with that being said, I'm going to head over to the Angry Truth channel. I will be starting at 2:10. I got to do a couple things before that starts. Other than that, thank you for joining me tonight. I will see you guys next week for the doubleheader Tuesday night. And, yeah, man. Adriana, thank you for the hat. I will get it from you when I can. But thank you. Other than that, guys, good night.